For the longest time, we here at Media Mementos have been trying to make a video about Danganronpa. I hope that's how you pronounce it, because if not, oh well, I'm gonna be wrong throughout this entire video. With such an active fan base, the franchise has basically all of its bases covered. No pun intended giving today's subject, but at long last we finally figured out what we're gonna do. A few people have made videos sorta like this before, but we feel that it's necessary for us to finally weigh in. Welcome to our presumably last video game video here on Media Mementos, the character quest for Leon Kuwata! The ultimate baseball star slash the ultimate punk musician slash the first ever blackened in the entire franchise. That last title especially is very important, so you'd expect that the first ever killer in all of Danganronpa would get a lot of attention, right?
Good guess, but actually no.
That's actually the opposite of what happened, which is a shame because Leon is a very interesting character. Let me break it down for you. Out of everyone in this class at Hope's Peak, Leon is the only one that outright hates his talent. It's not that he just doesn't care about talent, it's that he actively hates his. This is a pretty unique concept, not just for Trigger Happy Havoc, but also for all three of the main games. The closest we get are, say, Peko, who doesn't necessarily hate her talent, but more hates her situation in life, which her talent is a byproduct of. There's also Ryoma, who's gone kind of numb to his talent because of a traumatic incident, and then there's Maki, who's really gotten numb to her talent, although she used to hate it, but by the time she got into the killing game, that was far in the past. Don't get me wrong, Leon does like baseball, he's really good at it and it gives him a lot of attention. It's just that he hates practice. And whenever you're an athlete, professional or amateur, most of your time is going to be spent practicing, so Leon hates it. He's already the best he can possibly be. No amount of atrophy is going to make him worse, and no amount of training is going to make him better. That's why he's so popular. And of course, because he's so good, they won't let him pursue other interests. Leon doesn't want to be a professional baseball player, he wants to be a leader of a punk band. He's not particularly the best at it, but that's what he wants to be. However, his background of being the best in his sport never leaves him, and it's gonna haunt him forever. If he didn't die, he would have an extremely difficult time trying to break into his field, because every time he'd try to tell somebody, hey, I'm starting a new band, they'd always turn at him and go, hey, you're that baseball guy, aren't you? And then he'd probably, punch them in the stomach or something, because that's another thing about Leon. He does not handle his emotions well. He's hot-headed, impulsive, and has a very short attention span, which is a great combination in a person, right? Leon thinks he's a lot better of a person than he really is. Socially speaking, this guy flounders constantly. When he's talking with guys, most notably Makoto, given the fact that, well, you play as him, Leon is always very aggressive, and I guess there's no other word for it but intense. It's always 0 to 100 with this guy. When he gets mad, he gets really mad. When he gets happy, he gets really happy. Yeah, Mondo's like this, but at least he's able to get a grip on himself when he's not being reminded of his brother. Leon is always like this, and it's not just with guys too, it's with girls. Leon doesn't think with his head, he thinks with his lower half. Whenever he sees anything with a chest, he's gonna flock right over to it. Doesn't matter if they're not his type, doesn't matter if he doesn't get along with them, he's gonna go for them no matter what. Most notably the Ultimate Talent Development Plan. While yes, these situations aren't exactly canon, they accurately depict everybody's character because they're supposed to be what-if scenarios. And Leon gets a fair few of these. And every time it's with a girl, it does not go well. For example, when Samugi's showing off her cosplays, Leon doesn't listen to how she cares about them or how she feels their art or the self-expression behind them. All he cares about is, hey, this makes you look hot, this shows a lot of skin, why don't you put that on? Even after Samugi point blank tells him that she's not comfortable with this, he keeps pressing on. Why? Because he's Leon and he just doesn't know any better. In fact, his crazy, rampant lust is the reason that he wants to be a punk musician in the first place. He wants to get people's attention, most notably girls. He also confesses in one of his free time events that he'd become an actor or something if it means that more people would give him attention. He's always gotta be the center of attention, which is kind of ironic given that, in my eyes at least, he's the killing game contestant that gets the least amount of focus. Let me explain. Given the fact that some people have to die in Chapter 1, there's gonna be some characters that get the shaft. However, everybody except for Leon has a little bit of an asterisk next to that qualification. We spend a whole bunch of time in the first game spending time with Sayaka. There's the whole Mukuro mystery going on, and she gets a lot of attention in the last 2 chapters even though she's dead. The Ultimate Imposter not only gets a lot of spotlight, much like his killer Teru, but he's also emulating a character that we've spent a lot of time with in the previous game, so we kind of feel like we already know him. Rantaro is a lot like Mukuro, where his death is one of the lingering themes throughout his game. However, unlike Mukuro, Rantaro's death is not really exclusively focused on in just 2 chapters. Instead, it's kinda present all throughout all 6. Even though Rantaro himself doesn't get a lot to do, his character is often brought up and has a big effect on the overall story. And Kaede, she was the protagonist throughout the first chapter, so of course she got a lot of focus. Leon does not. He gets very few individual mentions after he dies, and he doesn't have any lingering impact on the story, at least directly. And that's a real shame because I really like his character. Not only is he a very enjoyable character, but he's also an interesting foil. Given the fact that he thinks he's a ladies' man and he most certainly is not, that would have been really fun to see, kind of like a less perverse Teru. That and him being kind of a lazy guy who hates his talent but also kind of does like it secretly and is very aggressive towards people. Even if he's not the most likable guy, he most certainly would have made things interesting, right? And of course, we can't talk about Leon Kuwata without talking about how he died. So Sayaka decided that she wanted to get out as soon as possible and save her bandmates, so she lured Leon into her room, which was actually Makoto's room, and tried to kill him. The reason she picked Leon was because, well, were you listening to the beginning of the video? If a girl tells him to do something, he's gonna do it. Anything goes for this guy as long as there's possibly sex involved. But thanks to some quick thinking, Leon didn't get murdered and was able to fend off his attacker. But he took it a step further. He had her on the ropes. She was very injured and was hiding in the bathroom. He could have left the room and gone on with his day, but that would have been a very bad idea. Given that everybody liked his attacker and not him, her case of saying, "Oh, Leon barged into my room and tried to kill me," most certainly would have made him a target. However, I don't think Leon was really thinking about that. Remember when I said that he was a very impulsive and brash guy? I think that he was just way too caught up in the moment. The guy's fueled off of emotions. His thoughts come second to whatever action he feels like doing in the moment. So, in his mind, he had to kill her, full stop. That's the only way to finish this battle. And I'm sure his motive video didn't really hurt either. I mean, who wouldn't want to see their very strange, incestuous cousin, right? But he got figured out and made it very, very obvious that it was him. No, I'm not talking about 11037. I'm talking about his behavior. Once again, he couldn't think things through. He acted purely on emotions. He targeted Makoto because that was the guy that everybody thought was the killer, and he went way too hard, thereby incriminating himself. At least to the player. The other characters didn't really seem to notice. I mean, we had Yasuhiro in here. That guy can't figure anything out. He's basically useless. But that's a story for another day. And once the spotlight was turned on Leon, he freaked out and couldn't keep his cool. And yeah, does this sound like an innocent person to you?
I refuse to acknowledge you. You're stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid! Stupid, 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 stupid!
And then, that was it. He died. And he died by getting pelted by baseballs. The very talent that he wanted to escape. Not to mention the fact that he's in a batting cage, which not only represents practice, but is also a literal cage. Just like his talent, it's keeping him inside with no way of getting out. And yeah, it goes without saying that this execution is arguably the most brutal in the entire series. What makes it so bad is that it's not over the top. You could argue that Kaede or Teru's were also really bad, but they were really cartoonish and out there. Leon's? No, he's tied to a pole getting pelted by baseballs while everyone watches. It's the most famous execution for a reason, and not just because it's the first. So yes, I think Leon is a very underrated and underused character. Not only does he not get a lot of focus, but he doesn't really get to explore a lot of his personality traits outside of his free time events. And in the first game, if you die in the first chapter, you only get 3 instead of the customary 5. So we don't really have a choice but to overlook him in favor of other characters that either get a lot more focus or who last longer, like Hina or Mondo or Kyoko or anybody else. Like I said, even the other victims and killers from the first chapters, and not just the first game but the other 2 as well, get a lot more focus, but Leon doesn't. The only real standout thing he gets is when you're investigating the murder, you go to look at his room and he freaks out at you, but that's it. And even then, most people don't really see that because they're focusing on other things. With that being said, I can firmly say that Leon Kuwata is the most underappreciated Danganronpa character of all time. Well folks, thanks for watching the video. What'd you guys think? Do you like Leon Kuwata as much as I do? Who's your favorite character? Mine actually is not Leon, though he does come pretty close. Comment below and let me know because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. Real quick, I'd like to thank our Patreon executive producers, Reziel, Leaf Razor, Azarius, Whoopdoo, Michaela Bellamy, and MD the Dude. If you too would like your name read at the end of every Media Mementos video, then consider donating to our Patreon, which has a link in the description below. Today's comment of the day goes to Soren the Film Brony. Yzma, wait, how did Disney make a great show nobody talks about? Kronk, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense. I couldn't agree more. And I'm not even just talking about The Emperor's New School here. My favorite show ever, Dave the Barbarian, is a Disney show, and guess what? Nobody talks about it aside from those clickbait, "Do you remember Dave the Barbarian?" videos. Trust me, come August, we're gonna blow all those videos out of the water. Just saying. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time, and don't worry, Character Quest is definitely gonna be a reoccurring thing now, and our next one might be coming sooner than you realize. I just hope that when it comes out, it's not gonna bug you.